Welcome to Unwritten Stories of Significance, part 2 of the Cranklite story. Two entrepreneurs from Western University who got together, two good friends in the business Ivy League, graduated and created this amazing lager, Cranklite. It is awesome. It is awesome. But no further ado, we're going to hear the other side of their amazing story, because in part 1, it was just phenomenal. But now we're going to talk about how they created, the ups and downs, and the real life behind building Cranklite. With no further ado, I'd like to introduce again Jack Jelinek and Michael Wolfson. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you, Joy.
Hi, Joy. Thanks for having us again.
Oh, you're welcome, honey. Part 1 was awesome. Like, you know, I still can't get over, like, I didn't go to post-secondary. I keep saying post now, but I got to say the secondary. I never went to post-secondary. And anybody watching the first episode is going to find out how to hide beer.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they teach you that in the classroom, that's for sure.
Oh my God. All right, my love. So just to delve into it now, I'm just looking at my notes here. You're building a business with a friend, a good friend. When Michael approached you, Jack, he's seen all the great stuff that you have, marketing, business, everything, as well as you seeing an opportunity that was given to you by Michael. So how has it been? Let's really get into it now. Like, how has it been building a business with your good friend? How?
Wow, it's a good question. I
know.
yeah. I haven't thought about it. I haven't really thought about it or had the chance to even think about it. But I think it's been one of those things where during COVID, us and a lot of our friends have seen sort of a hall pass come around where they can go and swing at something that they would never really otherwise have gotten the chance. And I think for us, being able to have the opportunity to launch Crank and do it with such a good buddy, and to still be doing it now, we always pinch ourselves every week, like, the business is still standing. Like, we're still friends. Like, this is still happening. And we realize that there are ups and downs, but I think being able to experience that with somebody has made us incredibly close as friends.
Awesome. Michael, your side, my love. Great job, Jack.
Yeah, I think kind of what Jack said also, like, at the beginning, it felt like every issue we ran into, every problem, it felt like the whole world was collapsing around us, which it kind of was at that point, I guess. But I think we've learned that there's just going to be challenges every second when you're building up a business. And we like to always say we're just kind of learning on the fly. Every week we're learning new things and we're making mistakes, but you just can't make those mistakes twice. So you learn from them each time. And I think that's been a huge thing for us, that I guess understand that there's going to be things that happen, especially because at the beginning, we really had no idea what we were doing. And I still think we don't really, but we're learning fast and just kind of improving along the way. And I think that's been the most important. And working together has been great because I think, as Jack said, we have pretty complementary skills. And it seems like so far we've been working great together.
That is phenomenal, hon. Absolutely phenomenal. In regards to building a business now, did you have to write a business plan? I know I'm asking Ivy League business, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Jack, how many plans do you think we wrote?
How many?
I think.
How many?
Yeah, we've written probably 8 to 12 business plans on Crank alone, because things and regulations and restrictions for COVID and everything were changing so frequently that literally week by week, we'd have a new plan as to how we were going to grow and succeed. And every week something would happen where we'd have to change and pivot. So a while there, we didn't really know what our plan was because it was new every single time. Yeah. So we wrote a lot of business plans.
Okay. So I know I never wrote one for my business. I know, and I learned the hard way, but oh boy, how big were those business plans? Because I know when Michael wrote his, how big it was, my son, Michael. Yeah. But my God, like, how many pages was that? Like, it's a lot of work.
So I think that very kind of initial September to December 2019 is when the original business plan was kind of taking shape. And that's where we put in a lot of the work, a lot of the kind of idea for what we want the brand to be like, etc., and how we're going to promote it. So that was quite large. And then I think at one point we're like, we can keep writing this and keep adding and keep doing research, and you can do that forever. And I kind of hear that from other founders as well. You can continue to do that. At some point, you just got to jump in. It's going to be nothing like your business plans a lot of the times. And that was very true with COVID, changing restrictions, changing regulations. So I'm glad we did just jump in. But yeah, it was definitely a long business plan that we had to kind of work on and continue iterating, and we still are to this day.
All right. So 2 business graduates, okay, from Ivy League business. Okay, Western University. Let's brand the work you've done with the university. Okay.
Western U.
Western U. Sorry. Okay.
No.
Okay. What was I gonna say? Now I forgot. Okay. The importance of a business plan. Because Michael embraced on something there where he said, you put all these things in the plan, but some of the things you don't use, you're just gonna go do it. So why is it important to have a business plan?
Yeah, I think what Michael and I have learned is you can get stuck on like working in the business or on the business. So in the business, yeah, you're very much in the weeds. And we found and thought that we were putting out a lot of fires consistently, just because there's always something going wrong. Like it's never going to be completely perfect, no matter what. And if you don't have that business plan or that overall goal, you're not really going to feel like you're working towards anything or know what it is you're working towards. You can get stuck sort of doing these day-to-day tasks and putting out these fires. And I think we realized that pretty quickly, that if we were to succeed, we need to have that goal always in front of us as to, I know when I'm down in the weeds working on something that's not really that fun, what am I doing it for? And having that there really helps.
Awesome, hon. So I'm going to reel it back. Okay, so we've covered the business plan. Let's get back to those 10,000 beers.
Yeah.
How did you recoup that money to go and deal with the person that you had purchased it from? And they said, okay, you're not in school anymore right now. You're in the real world. I need my money. How did you get rid of it? How do you take the bull by the horns and forge ahead?
So I guess one positive of COVID was the regulations changed, which allowed bars and restaurants to start delivering alcohol directly to consumers, and allowing some bars and restaurants, and allowing some beer companies to do that as well. So that was kind of our blessing, that we're like, we can finally figure out how we can sell these beers. So for a while we were doing that, selling to these restaurants to sell to consumers, as well as Jack and I getting in our cars and handing them out to cases to people as often as we could, and trying to get them to buy it from us.
All right. So Jack, did you get rid of all of it?
I'm not sure when we got rid of all of it. I know, having come back from Georgia after being there for a couple months and thinking, I really hope there's still beer in this house and that it wasn't broken into, because that'd be one hell of a gold mine.
Yes.
5,000 beers sitting in a basement. I'm not sure when we ended up getting rid of all of it, but there were a couple restaurants, like Supermarket in Toronto in specific, that I want to mention, that stepped up really big and helped us out in the summer to allow us to sell off of their liquor license, because at that stage we were a contract brewery, and this is getting into the nitty-gritty of what the regulations are, but we weren't able to sell any sort of channel. We weren't in the LCBO at that point. We're in the beer store, we're in grocery stores, and we couldn't do direct to delivery to consumers from our brewery because we didn't own the brewery. So we had to sell to a restaurant, or a licensee as we call them, to then be the middleman in the equation to then sell to the consumer, or else we had literally no legal way to sell. And Supermarket let us do that. So Mikey and I went out and we're driving the crank tank. We were accepting orders on our website and driving what we like to call the crank tank around Toronto and the GTA every Friday for like 12 hours, just delivering cases. Yeah, so it took a while, but if Supermarket didn't step up, we wouldn't have been able to do it at all.
Well, when I look at Michael down there, and he's looking through the window and he's looking back at the Zoom, and you can see him just reminiscing on that time. When you look at that time to where you are now, and I've seen through your Instagram posts, Cranklite is kicking butt. Like it really is. So let's talk about some great things. And throughout the pain, you come out and you see what you can accomplish. So you have to go through that, right, guys, to get to the end, right? But what's happening now with Cranklite? Tell us, come on.
Nowadays, we luckily have a few more selling channels to sell through. So right around the end of the summer 2020, we got into some beer stores, focused on kind of the main university towns. Unfortunately, restaurant and bars still were unable to open with that second wave, so we had to focus on that for a while. And then this past summer, finally, we were able to go to some restaurants, bars, golf courses. And then, what is it, Jack? 3 weeks ago now, we got into the LCBO system. So that's been huge for us. Biggest win in a while. I always say to Jack, I'm like a lot of the times the ops guy. So I only have problems, rarely have any wins. So it's good to get a win for the first time in a while and celebrate with Jack.
Operations.
Yeah.
But isn't it? If I might jump in here for a second, because I love basketball, okay? It's like the Raptors, right? You keep going, you keep going, you keep going. You never think in a million years you're going to hold that cup. You keep going and you hit home. And everything is starting to avail now. You still got a long journey to go. But when I see those posts, what was the last one you just did on Instagram? What was the last one you just did today? I seen it. Come on.
What was the one we posted today? Hold on, I'll have to check.
Oh, the contest?
It was the LCBO one, wasn't it? Wasn't it LCBO downtown? Wasn't it downtown?
Oh, we just got into a golf course downtown, but then
yes,
as well. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So it's all these little nuggets, right? I'm watching you. I see it.
That's amazing. You know our Instagram better than us.
Trust me. Ask my son, he'd laugh his head off. But anyway, no, it's awesome, honey. It really, really is to hang in there. All right, so we covered the struggle, the friends. Being a young entrepreneur, what's your message to youth out there? I'm going to be a devil's advocate here now because it's a lot of pain. A lot of people talk, but you jumped on the walk. You started to walk. What's your message to young entrepreneurs?
I would say mine would be the fact that what Mikey said earlier, you can do as much research and analyzing as you can, and some unforeseen thing can always come up here and sort of bite you. But if you wait in the wings, you'll never actually jump in. There's always going to be something preventing you or some excuse as to why. So that'd be number one. And number two is when there's the highs and lows, you just need to sort of even them out and balance them out and find your equilibrium, because it can seem like the worst day and it can seem like the best day. And it's never good to get too down on yourself, and it's never good to get too excited. And I think that's something that young people can get a little overexcited or a little too upset. And we've been learning that. We're still by no means good enough at it. There's still times we look at each other like, what the hell's going on? But that's something we've definitely learned.
Well, so I'm going to bring you back. So we're not finished yet. We got one more segment here in this incredible story, guys, with Cranklite, sharing their stories on Unwritten Stories of Significance. We'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Unwritten Stories of Significance with Cranklite. Guys, phenomenal. I love talking to you guys because you're fun, you're engaging, you're real, and you keep it that when viewers look at you and listen to the story of Cranklite and creation, they can digest it and apply it. You haven't candy coated it, and that's what I love about you. I thank you both. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, honey. So the last segment. All right. What is the next step for Cranklite? What is the next step? Ta-da!
Yeah, big question. Well, I think the next step, we always say, is staying alive and making it to next week. And if we do that, celebrate. I'd say the next step for us is really being a brand that a lot of students can relate to at each university campus across Ontario. That's something that we look to do. And we've been growing our followers at each, we like to call them crankers, our crankers at each campus. And we want to make sure that as we grow as a brand, that our brand and our marketing still resonates with these students, because we started Crank as to be a brand made by young Canadians for young Canadians. And we want to make sure that we still keep that transparency into our operations as we get bigger. So that's our main goal, is to own the university campuses.
What has your feedback been from the youth that has enjoyed Crank? What has the feedback been? I got to hear some feedback. Michael?
Yeah, I think it's been quite strong so far. Get a lot of opinions. I think it's because we're so transparent. We have people like, oh, you should do this with the can, you should do this. And we try and take as many of those. And we love that. So we try and take as many of those and incorporate that into our can. Like actually our quote on the can was a contest that a university student won. So they actually have their quote on our can, which is quite cool. But I think the feedback's been quite strong. Like them, they're always shocked, like, oh, this doesn't taste bad. It tastes great. I guess looking at Jack and I, they didn't think we'd be able to create something they like to drink. But so it's been overall quite strong, I'd say, which we're really happy with.
Well, I know I met up with Jack there to get all this merch. I got to keep saying, I want to say merchandise, but merch, right? Merch.
Yeah.
And we met up and I got some beer. I got my crank and I shared, I'm going to put a little bit of thing into your interview right here. And Sean and I tasted it last week and I left you a beautiful voicemail and I had to put Sean on it. It is so good. Like, I am not a beer drinker. I'm not. I like it the odd time, but it is so, to me, when I taste it, it's it's palatable. It's so good in the beginning and then it just smooths out. So you're not seeing that bitter taste or that aftertaste. It's really, really good. It is awesome, guys.
Great to hear.
Thank you.
No, it's a phenomenal creation, phenomenal. All right, getting into some quotes. I asked for some quotes because I know in life, I look back at my quotes and I look back at things that's got me through. This is two that you shared with us. Onwards and upwards. What does that mean to you? What does that resonate to you?
Mikey?
Yeah, I thought you started that, Jack. I'm not sure, but it's just
I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know. It's just kind of something when something good or bad happens, and at the beginning it was a decent amount of bad. So I think we're saying a lot then. It's just, you know what? We can dwell on it, dwell on this negative, or think of it as a challenge. How are we going to overcome it? And just keep going and go to the moon eventually. So whether it's good or bad, for example, like getting the LCBO, that's great, but that's only step one. Now we just got to keep going, go onwards and upwards, and keep firing. It's a great quote by Jack that I think we've say to each other every single day since we've started this. So
yeah.
Awesome. Jack, you feel the same way too, hon?
Oh yeah. I think the reason why it started was we would always film videos of ourselves to our crankers. And I think we'd end up with like C's up, onwards and upwards, woo, and just like get all fired up.
Right.
Originally it was just for videos. And then we started thinking it like, oh man, onwards and upwards, whenever things were going poorly, like we were literally working in a basement and the world around us was falling apart. We were like onwards and upwards. And I think the first part can't be understated. Onwards is just the moving on, like just going, and the upwards will follow. And sometimes it's the hardest part, is just moving forward.
Yeah. You know, it's very, very true because we're all talking entrepreneurs here and a lot of young people have opened the doors to their mind on creations through COVID. Totally. They really have. And you're one of them. You are one of them. How have you guys gone through, before I go to the next quote, how have you gone onwards and upwards? How have you actually gone through it? Like, to get yourself off the couch and go, okay, you know something, man, damn, let's just, how do we do it?
Yeah.
I think part of it is necessity when it just, if we're not getting up and doing this, then Crank will die. And it's something we've worked hard for and something we're passionate about. And then I also think it's each other and just kind of, at some point, there's been points where I've been super down and Jack's brought me up. There's been points where he's been down and I help bring you up. But I think it's kind of like being accountable for each other and also just wanting Crank to do the best for each other as well. So I think it's that's important as well that we've been able to do.
Yeah, that is very true. What Mikey's saying there, I think there's a lot of it is Crank and selfishly wanting to do well for ourselves. But I think a lot of what I do is for Mikey and wanting to make sure I don't let my buddy down, because I know when we're going through hard times or when I'm busy and he's coming in clutch and saving the day with something, like I remember that. And I think, okay, I've got to make sure I help this guy out and have his back too if something's going wrong. So I think that's a big thing. And I think that's the culture of Crank that we want to emphasize to all of our followers too, is that having each other's back.
Yes. That's what true friendships are though, right? That's what really true friendships are. Absolutely. Grit and grace. I love this. Grit and grace. Okay, who came up with that one?
I think that was me too, right, Mikey?
Yeah, I think Jack's just a quote guy.
Well, I was actually going off topic, but when I was at Western for my first 2 years, I was in poetry. So That might be why. I went from poetry to business to beer. Weird.
Wow.
Really weird.
So what does that mean? Tell us.
Grit and grace. So that means you have to do a lot of things very gritty and use your grit and make sure that, it's not going to be anything glorious. It's not going to be anything that people want to do, but it's got to get done. And you're the one that's there and you've got to do it. So a lot of what we find we were doing with Crank is really gritty. And that's as simple as a beer needs to get from Oakville to Newmarket in 2 hours, and you're home alone and you need to go and get that beer from somewhere in Toronto, and it's pouring rain and it's late on a Friday night when all your friends are going and hanging out. And you think, I just got to get gritty and go and do it. Like it's not going to get done without it. And so that's half of the business, but then it's doing those gritty things with grace. So while you're doing it, maybe you're not wanting to do it, but externally you have the grace to be able to say thank you and hold open doors for other people and sort of be that person that represents the brand well.
I got to say something on air. When I read your quote today, Grit and Grace, and it says the grit internally, but the grace externally. And I was challenged. And when I read that went poof. And I went, okay, I'm a great person, but I'm also real. And I said, wow, that is so true. To literally do it externally, say thank you, even though you're going crazy, just to say thank you, right? Yeah. So that's really, really important, hon. Thank you for that. Being two great friends, I know this sounds like repeat pizza, but I'm gonna ask, why is it so important? Why is it important to choose the right person to be in business with? Because there's a lot of people that just get in there and they don't even know the person and they start a business and kaboom. So why is that so important though? Because, you both knew each other's character and your business mind, your work ethics and who you are and respect for humanity and everything. Why is that so important?
Yeah, I think it's actually a interesting balance because I have some great friends who I wouldn't be able to do this with. So it's not just about being great friends and getting along in that sense. It takes a lot of unique, I guess, traits that you guys can work together. I think, honestly, we had the advantage of having all these school group projects together and studying together where we kind of knew each other's work habits a bit and knew how, I guess, not wired, but like wired in that sense that we knew how each other got to work and we kind of knew how it would work. But I think it's very important because if the partnership crumbles or the leadership team crumbles, then the business will crumble with it. So I think that's one of the most important aspects.
That's so true, Michael. Well said, my friend. How about you, Jack?
Yeah, I think Mikey hit it bang on when he said that. I think we were definitely lucky at being able to see how each other acted in terms of social settings and in school. But I think there's a lot of things we didn't know about each other going into it as well. And it's being able to understand that we're both doing this for the first time. Like I'm relying on my buddy who has never been in the beer industry to apply to the LCBO, the biggest alcohol buying monopoly in the world. And I'm like, come on, dude, you can do this. And he's relying on me to go and sell to bar owners a product I've never sold before and bar owners I never know how to deal with. And he's like, you can do this. So I think we realized that there's a lot of stuff we're learning on the fly and we need to support each other when we do it.
Okay. Well said, honey, but I have to ask you, I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking at Zoom. It's a whole new world here, TV. I want to ask this really, really quick before we leave you guys. What is it that you love about yourself? Can you share one thing really, really fast? Because everybody's got to share this. Jack.
About like what I love about myself?
Yes. What do you love about yourself? Really fast.
Oh, man.
You've never been asked before.
Yeah. I would say I like the fact that I think I bring energy and I'm a solution-oriented person. So my energy's high. So I try to keep Mikey's high and I look for solutions rather than problems.
Beautiful. Michael.
Yeah, I would say what I like about myself is I guess like I take stress and use that as a positive. So like when there's just something I really need to get done and I feel very overwhelmed, then it helps me kind of lock in and get that done, I guess.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Awesome, guys. The merch. This is awesome stuff. So I love this. Okay, we got free views. Okay, and the hat. Yeah. Thank God it fits my big head. All right. So the merch. How did this all come about? Really, really fast. We're coming to the closing here.
We got a bunch of our friends to design cool stuff for us. And we said, hey, if you have any cool ideas, we'll put it out there. And we designed some things and put them on our website.
Awesome. So you've got the hat, right, Michael?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff. We got hat, golf shirts, long sleeve sweaters, a lot of stuff on our website. Our mindset is it's great. We spread the brand and we can show everyone who the true crankers are whenever they're wearing our gear.
And I will say, guys, it's great quality. Like, it really is. This is awesome quality. I can't turn around because we're rude on camera. But you've also got something on the back here. All right. Yeah. It's really good. I know you go on the website, you can check it out. Where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Cranklite.com and crank.light on Instagram. Probably the two main spots.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It was awesome, Cranklite. You were amazing. Thank you for sharing your stories on Unwritten Stories of Significance. Bye, guys.